Okay, you guys, I did it. I'm getting this video out for the breakdown of the full moon in Libra and the other activities that are going on in our sky on the day of the full moon. This is the full moon for the month of Nissan. This is the month that began with the new moon in Aries, and we're at the full moon in Libra. This full moon will kick off on April 12th, and it will also kick off Passover, and it will be this same day that Jesus was crucified, so we can look at the 15th to be about the day that would be Resurrection Day. Passover is going to run from April 12th to April 20th. A full moon means that the moon is fully illuminated, meaning it's bringing things to light. It's bringing things that are hidden, bringing it into the light, which means it can oftentimes bring conclusions. It can bring strong emotions. It can bring about confrontations, and it can just bring in times of intense emotions. But in the end, they're there to help us have more clarity, get a better grasp on what's going on within our own emotions, because the moon is about the emotions, and when it's the full moon, it's about illuminating and revealing those hidden emotions. And Libra is ruled by the planet Venus, which means that we have another full moon characterized by the feminine aspect. God is really highlighting the feminine at this time, especially because we've had the eclipse season land within this time period. And so last month, the full moon was in the sign of Virgo, another feminine aspect, a feminine sign, and it was a lunar eclipse. And so this full moon is in the sign of Libra, which is ruled by Venus, and it's also the final chapter of a series of eclipses that began in 2023. So this is the final chapter of the eclipses in Libra that began in 2023. So we're bringing about, God's bringing about a closing to this cycle. Eclipses always intensify and amplify the importance of a new moon or a full moon. So this is God's way of really highlighting the divine feminine at this time. He's doing something powerful with the women, and it's going to bring about balance. Libra is about balance. So we're seeing that he's highlighting and really calling forth the feminine at the closing of this Libra eclipse cycle that began in 2023. And if you recall, last month was the month of Adar, which is all about the feminine, about Queen Esther. It was also the month where Venus went retrograde and took us into this 40-day period of testing. And we will be exiting this 40-day testing period at this full moon in Libra. Venus is going to finally go direct, which is very exciting because this will bring a sense of clarity and relief. Last month, we also had Black Moon Lilith enter Scorpio and is going to remain there for 9 months. And Black Moon Lilith is all about the divine feminine. This is about healing the inner void that comes from shame and from labels that have been placed on us, and shedding those things, healing those things, exploring the void within so that we can step into healing, into purpose, into leadership, into our warrior, inner warrior that breaks free from the mold that everybody else wants from us to actually fulfill what God has created us for. So there's just so much feminine signs in the heavens happening right now, and Venus is all about feminine energy, love, beauty, art, creativity. It's about aesthetics. It's about creation. So God is definitely, about the woman power right now. And I know he's doing something so healing within his daughters at this time. And it's going to be so pivotal and powerful for bringing balance in the earth and healing. Not only is it going to trigger our healing for the feminine, but also in the masculine, in the men of God. It's going to trigger their healing as well. And again, we both have masculine and feminine energy and hormones within us, regardless of whether we're male or female. And this full moon in Libra is about restoring balance. It's about restoring balance in our life, in our emotions, in our masculine and feminine energy. It's also about justice, divine justice. And what is the definition of justice? Justice means just behavior or treatment. So this full moon in Libra is also about standing our ground, setting boundaries, protecting our peace, and preparing to receive a just reward from God for all your hard work. 1 Samuel 2:3 says, "The Lord is a God of knowledge. By him actions are weighed." And Daniel 5:27 says, "You have been weighed in the balance and found wanting." Proverbs 2:12 says, "All a man's ways seem right to him, but the Lord weighs the heart." Libra is about balance. It's about the scales of God, the justice scales. And how are we measuring up? How will we measure up when our thoughts and our motives and our deeds are weighed in the balance? Romans 2:6 says, "God will repay everyone according to his deeds." And 2 John 1 says, "Be on your guard then, so that you will not lose what we have worked for, but will receive your reward in full." Libra is a time of our deeds being measured. At the end of Libra, remember, we're ending this Libra eclipse cycle from 2023. This is the final chapter. This is closing it out. And what comes at the end of having our deeds measured? We're then given the conclusion of how we measured up, and we are rewarded according to our deeds. And a full moon, you're going to feel or experience the effects of a full moon for the next 6 months. So over the next 6 months, we will see the effects of this full moon. And I believe we will see the reward or the correction, depending on how we measured up, from the Lord. Each man will receive according to his deeds. I believe for some, it's going to be the best days of their life. And for some, it's going to be very, very humbling. Now, on the day of this full moon, we also have what's known as a Chiron Kazemi. This is an asteroid. Chiron is an asteroid known as the Wounded Healer. And Chiron represents a core soul wound. And Chiron is in the sign of Aries, so this is about identity wounds. This Chiron Kazemi means that this is a time of profound emotional healing. Healing around our self-worth, around our confidence, around our ability to lead, our ability to be seen, to see ourselves, to love ourselves. It's helping us to see our wounds clearly so that we can heal those wounds, those core wounds that have been hindering us and wounding us, keeping us from really walking in our true identity, our God-given identity, and what God has called, who He's called us to be, and what He's called us to do. This Chiron Kazemi also has to do with a war wound around the years 1968 and 69 in the United States, around the Vietnam War and the assassination of MLK and Robert Kennedy. And it was in these years that we had eclipses in Aries, and we have a lot of repeating astrology from that time period in U.S. history. So I believe we are going to see the Lord's justice come forth from things that have taken place in the past in the history for the U.S. and things that maybe have seemed injustices that seem to have gotten away with, but in due time, every deed is repaid. And so I believe we're seeing a time of vindication for injustices. And on the 12th, we also have what's known as a T-square. So the moon, sun, and Chiron will all be squaring Mars. And this is considered challenging and can create tension, friction, and potentially lead to conflict and a need to address imbalances. So we can see how all these aspects are similar in theme and about bringing balance. And oftentimes when we realize there's a need for balance, it's because things have become imbalanced and there's been things that have been overstepped. Imbalances can oftentimes come from breaches of proper balance. And so that requires confrontation in order to address the breach, correct it, and that can often lead to conflict, but in the end is all for the purpose of bringing proper balance and harmony. On the 12th, we will also have the moon opposite a dwarf planet known as Eris. This is another feminine aspect. Eris is known as the goddess of chaos or the warrior feminine. She is known for exposing false harmony. So this is about no longer remaining silent to keep the peace. It's about creating healthy boundaries based off the truth. So this is about no longer sweeping things under the rug to keep the peace. This is about speaking the truth. Because false harmony is no harmony at all. It's a type of false harmony, superficial, surface level harmony that's not rooted and grounded in actual truth and harmony. So in order to truly have authentic harmony, we have to be willing to speak from truth. And the last aspect we have on April 12th is a Jupiter trine, which is a super positive aspect. It signals graceful expansion. It's about grace, expansion, healing, personal growth, and creating a more authentic life. All in all, this month we are reclaiming our power while still maintaining our softness, our soft feminine nature with our warrior power, being able to stand up for ourselves, to be ourselves, to love ourselves, and to march forward into the purpose that God has for us, confidently, boldly, but still humbly. We're assertive, but we're also in such a transformative and healing moment in time. And it's going to be amazing to see how this impacts the rest of this year. We're going to be a completely brand new person with a whole new level of confidence and boldness and just emotionally stable and able to better navigate everything that comes our way. We're going to be able to face what's ahead with so much more grace and poise and just being proud of who we are. It's not about being arrogant, as we come into these blessings, it's not about being arrogant, but it is about celebrating. It is about how far we've come. And that's not arrogance. It's being proud of how much we have transformed and how much God has helped us to come into our identity as the sons of God and truly manifesting as the sons of God. So, as always, be blessed.